Hey y'all, welcome to today's episode on the Playmaker podcast. I'm literally pumped for this because this is Katie Beth Craig, and she is my longest friend that I've ever had, and is to this day one of my best friends in the entire world. We met in preschool, in like 3-year-old preschool,
literally,
right?
Yes.
And started our athletic careers off doing gymnastics together,
Heck
which,
yeah.
believe it or not, she was good. I was terrible. It was awful.
But we also played basketball too, though.
We
remember,
did.
And your dad was the coach, and he would have to tell you to pass the ball to me because I wouldn't touch it if she did it. So.
I probably didn't want to give it to you.
You probably
either.
didn't, because I was afraid of it. It would hit me in the face, and then I was like, never again.
Yeah,
and that's how my basketball career ended.
Yes. So we did all that together, and then she moved to Woodford County, and actually in the compound with all of us, next to us, right the summer before we started high school. So then, if y'all know my family, you know we all rode like the clown car into school every day. Well, her and her siblings just kind of joined that and hopped in with us. And so everyone in Woodford assumed that she and her siblings were just other cousins of ours because that's who everyone was. So we finally got tired of saying no and just went with it. So we went from best friends to we became cousins. Just
still
because
cousins.
We decided to. Yep,
still
we're cousins. And then we got to college and we both went Chi Omega and became sorority sisters too.
Just to top it off.
I know, exactly. So we did our Sweet 16 birthday party together, like Southern Sweet and 16.
Oh yeah.
We did everything.
Yeah.
But Katie Beth's story is really cool and it's really different. Like she is a playmaker and the difference is also she knows that the ultimate playmaker is God, and her life and her actions and her obedience has shown that and been an example of that, especially for young people, but also to like our parents and our parents, like the world truly. And so I want to just like dive into that because we in high school were very preppy and like would text in like our girl gang group message like, hey, everyone wear your J. Crew skirt tomorrow. Like, or hey,
or your Lily Pulitzer.
Yes, like we
gotta have it.
We wanted to match. Like we planned everything together. And we were also all planning on going to college together. So Katie Beth was actually ahead of all of us in that she had registered for the University of Kentucky, had been accepted, found her roommate on a Facebook page, had done orientation, had all of her classes scheduled.
Literally.
And then texted all of us and was like, one day and was like, hey, I need to talk to all of y'all after school. And she told us she was not going to college. And not only was she not going to college with us, she was moving to a different continent. Yeah. So why don't you just tell us about all of that?
Well, it's funny because I think I was probably, like you said, I was so prepared, like over-prepared and obsessive about college, probably to the point where it was annoying for y'all. I know you must have been annoyed because I would sit in class
on Pinterest
the whole day, probably since junior year, planning out my dorm room, what it was going to look like, and spent literally so much time talking to potential roommates on Facebook. But things changed. Things quickly changed. Pretty much what happened was I was set on my plans, and I went to church on Easter Sunday, and the Lord just changed my heart. And I didn't even ever consider a gap year. That wasn't a part of my vocabulary. Didn't even consider it. And one of my friends at church told me about Inklink, which is the organization I ended up going with, was starting a gap year program. They had never done it before. And I had gone with Inklink a few times with my church for 2-week trips or a week at most, and then I sat in that service after she told me about Inklink potentially having this gap year program and was like, I have to do it. And it was like so heavy on my chest and on my heart. It was all I could think about. And so thinking I had an easy out, I asked my parents in the car, hey, what would you think if I maybe went to South America instead of college for 9 months? Thinking there's no way they would let me go. if they loved me, they would never let me go. Oh, I was wrong. Boy, I was wrong. They were like, yeah, if that's what you want to do, if that's what you think the Lord is calling you to do, then you should go. I was like, wait, really? And they're like, yeah. I was like, you support it? Like, I'm not even having to convince you of it? And they were like, yeah, pretty much. And so we talked about it that day and read the very little amount of information we had about the program and pretty much came to the decision that day that is what the Lord was calling me to. And the Holy Spirit just made it really clear and then continue to clarify it by opening doors left and right for it to happen. And so it was the craziest decision I've ever made. It was definitely the most secure I've ever felt in a decision. And I just saw so much confirmation over and over again from my parents, from people supporting me and financially helping me and praying for me to be able to even take that kind of trip. Like, it just was unreal.
Now, how were you able to discern that, like, yes, that is the voice of God? Because I know that there was some internal conflict. Like,
yeah,
do I break the status quo of, like, we are told to, you graduate high school, you go to a college, you get involved in either a sorority or a Christian organization, or you get an awesome internship, do something, graduate in 4 years or less so that you can go out and get your dream job and make a lot of money and live happily ever after. But you broke the status quo. Like, how did you know that was God leading you to that?
Well, he made it very clear and almost impossible for me to not do it. I honestly think he like scooped me up where I was at and placed me somewhere else. Like, I, yes, had to say and yes, had to take steps to actually make that happen. But it was just, he made it so clear through the way that he changed my heart, because that was not my desire. Like, it wasn't my desire to do that. My desire was to go to college and to be in a sorority and to be successful and, do what most people do and what everyone says you should do.
Yeah.
And I think it really reminds me of the verse in Proverbs where it says that we make our plans, but the Lord directs and determines our steps. Like, he determined it for me. It was really not my choice. And I think that I knew for sure from the confirmation and the doors that opened up, I didn't have to like force it to happen. It just like happened so naturally, even though it was such an unnatural thought or idea in my head, my heart, and I'm sure what my parents were expecting of me, what society would expect of really anyone.
So where did your peace come from, in the sense that, like, I can read you very well. And that day after school when you told all of us, like, I'm not going to UK with y'all. I'm breaking away, and
y'all probably thought I was going to change my mind too, probably like a week before going. You probably thought I was going to get to the airport and be like, never mind, I'm not doing it.
Because we had all done everything together.
Yeah, I know.
And so was there fear there? Like, were you worried about what we were going to think?
I was a little bit worried about that. I think the Lord gave me peace about going, and I kind of just, like I said, did not feel like I had a choice, which was a good thing. And I did, but you know what I mean. But I think it was scary to think about, I'm going to go and then like what's next, because now maybe I don't go to college, or now maybe I don't know, like, you don't have to take this clear-cut path. And because I was straying way far off the side, now I was like, I don't know what's coming. And that's what's scary, is to not know what is coming. I didn't know what was coming for me in South America. And heck yeah, I was afraid on the flight leaving, my parents at the airport. I was pretty terrified. And the first couple of days we were in North Carolina, we hadn't even gone to South America yet. And I was like, should I go? Like, I can still back out now. Should I go? But I also, had to take that leap of faith, because I had already seen how the Lord had been faithful in bringing me to that place and that point. And then just trusting that he would continue to determine my steps. Because then while I was in South America, I had to decide, do I want to go to college when I come back? Because you have to apply. And it was like a decision of, do I want to go to college? Do I want to go to UK? Do I want to apply to other schools? I started applying to other schools and thought maybe I want to go to a different state when I come back. I don't know. And the Lord just continued through people there. I had really awesome people discipling me there, and we met so many times to talk about, what do I do next after this? And my parents, of course. And the Lord just continued to, he just starts to trailblaze a path for you. And you just take little steps here and there with what you've got.
Right thing.
Yeah, you have to do the next right thing. You don't really know what the right thing is, but the Lord is going to be good and take you where you need to be and where he wants you to be. So that was really the process of deciding to go to South America, going to South America, deciding to come to UK, all of it.
And he doesn't promise it's going to be easy, because it was not easy. I mean, and we, as her friends, did not make it easy either, in the fact that we cried a lot. We're like, what the heck are we going to do without Katie Beth around? And her family struggled too, like knowing, like, there was obviously a peace and a confidence that we saw in them that, yes, this is what our daughter's supposed to do, and we can't keep her here. But it was hard. Like, 9 months is a long time. And there were times you didn't have internet. Like, we really didn't get to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like, that was, like, she left just completely different from, like, the lifestyle that we've grown up very blessed to, like, she left with one suitcase and, like, a bar of shampoo, soap.
So, yeah, literally didn't even have a bottle of shampoo. That was too big to fit my suitcase. I brought a bar. And it lasted me, like,
for
months.
9 months.
Yeah. It lasted me almost the entire time.
And that's crazy. It was just, like, such a big change. So tell us a little bit, like, where were you? What were you doing there? What did you experience in South America?
So I went to Peru first. We were in one location in Peru. It was in Trujillo, Peru. It's kind of the deserty area close to the coast. And they have a lot of kids ministries that we were a part of. They have sports ministries too that are really awesome, where they have sandboarding, because there's just mountains of sand. And so, like, naturally you just board down them.
Yeah.
Not for me. I tumbled down it, but So they had a couple different ministries like that. But what I realized pretty quickly after being there is I just was learning about life in general, learning about ministry, what it looks like behind the scenes to do ministry. Because the people in South America that we were with, their Inklink, are the most faithful, hardworking, like, obedient to the Lord people you could possibly meet. And they've been running this ministry the whole time. Like, they do it on their own. They don't really need our help. They were helping us by allowing us to come and learn from them and share their lives, like learning about hospitality. They showed such huge hospitality. Imagine bringing a group of 10 girls from North America that don't know your language and having to feed them, look out for them, take them to the grocery store because they don't know how to get there. I mean, everything. And so they really demonstrated what it looks like to do kingdom work. And so I learned so much about that. And that was kind of something that took me a little while to realize, like, what's my purpose here? What am I doing here? Because I can help with the kids' lessons, but they obviously have this covered. They speak Spanish. I'm learning Spanish. They can teach it better than I can. And there were some things that we could do to help support them and maybe relieve them, to give them a break. But really, more than anything, it was just getting to learn. And so we were also in Ecuador, and we got to hop around different parts of Ecuador. So that was really fun. Probably one of the coolest places there is in the jungle, and they're training people to go back to their tribes and share the gospel. Like, so it's almost like a missionary school. And they go and find people that have decided to follow Jesus, and then train them and equip them to go back and start planting churches in these, like, languages, these tongues that are specific to tribes that we, would never be able to just, like, go in and, evangelize or something like that. So got to experience that and go do some classes and like sit in and listen to what they were learning about, which was awesome. And then we went to Columbia last, and they had an after school care program, a lot of stuff revolving around kids again, and then another missionary program where they were sending people to the Middle East and preparing people to go and share the gospel in places you're going to be persecuted for. So I just like got to take all of this in and soak it all in over 9 months and really see how people are living for Christ, how people are sacrificing a lot to be able to be obedient and to love God, and they're doing it with delight and with joy.
With delight, yeah.
That was something that I just hadn't seen as much here. And so that was really eye-opening to see just the difference in serving the Lord, the difference in what the body of Christ looked like.
Yeah.
Just a lot of differences within the Christian culture and the places that we were at, and just the culture in general. Like there was a lot like going on. So learning Spanish, learning a lot of things. So I felt like I was in school still, but like a good school where you're just learning about life, and it's definitely still really challenging, but learning things I could never learn from, sitting in class. So I'm really thankful that I did that.
Okay, so Peru and Ecuador and Colombia, like 3 months in each place, and gone 9 months total. And then you came back. Like, you came back, and, I mean, you experienced the poverty. You experienced the true, like, active faith of these people, and then you came back. And we've heard it multiple times in college about how there's, like, a lullaby over America, especially within our faith. And how these people, like, the persecution is different. Like, everything is different.
Yeah.
And when you came back, like, you were not the same Katie Beth that left us 9 months earlier.
Not at all.
You came back and I felt like it seemed to me like you were kind of frustrated in how Americans were living. You came back and you immediately cleaned out your closet, and you were like, why do I have all this? I don't need all this. Where we were so focused on the name brand stuff in high school and like, let's look cute on this. You were like, who cares? Like, there are people hurting. There are people who need to hear the gospel, and your focus, your demeanor, everything changed. So what was it like coming back and like dealing with that?
Yeah, like the first initial shock of American culture was I got off my plane from South America to the American airport, and everything was so expensive. And I was like, what is this? I have to pay $12 for a piece of pizza. And then the second thing was everyone had Apple Watches, and I was like, what are those? I kind of knew about them, but I was like, everyone has phones that are on their arms. Like, do we really need 2 phones? Like one here, one here. And so, it was a shock to come from that culture that really focuses a lot more on people and friendship, and family is so, so important. And they consider pretty much anyone family. So really people is the focus, to here where there are people that make people the focus, but I feel like the overall culture and tone of our society is about things and jobs, success, money, and what you have and what you can offer. And so that was really shocking, and that was hard. And I definitely, like Maggie said, kind of purged. And I was like, okay, I can get rid of my stuff. I can't make everyone else get rid of their stuff, but I can get rid of my stuff. So I'll just, dump my closet out. I don't need all this. I got used to living out of a suitcase, and it was awesome. Like, not having so much stuff that ties you down to things, and like trying to get more stuff. Like, I just had what I had, and it was enough. And no one really cared if you wore the same shirt 2 days in a row. Like, it just didn't really matter. So that was hard to adjust back, because you still have to be within your culture. Like, we still have to be within the world, but you don't want to be of it. You don't want to be like it. And so figuring out how to not be like it, but you can't just like go around and judge other people too. And not everyone is experienced or has the same perspective as you on things. And so figuring out, and that's something that I'm still figuring out how to do. And I feel like it just takes all your life to really learn what that looks like. And what's the Lord calling you to in the way that you steward your things, because I feel like some people are really passionate about like have nothing, and then there's also the side that we get to enjoy what the Lord has blessed us with too. And so I don't know, that's kind of a word vomit answer, but it's a process to figure out. And I think being prayerful and reading scripture really helps, because it's pretty clear and plain as day what the Bible says about things, that things will rot away, that things are not, what we'll take with us.
We came from nothing, we'll leave with nothing.
Yeah. So it really is not what's important. And I love that about South American culture, that as a culture, people are the focus, and there is a lack of things, and that is a problem, and we should care about that deeply, especially when you have things, you're responsible for them. So like if I have more money, and I think they said something at Commonwealth, if you have a car and a fridge, then you're in the top 80% of the world. So like, because we have this stuff, we're responsible to actually steward it well and to give to those who are in need. But there is such a just wealth of community and wealth of love for people, and like not being so distracted with the stuff, that we can really gain and learn from other cultures too.
Yeah, that's so true. So then you came back and you ended up enrolling in UK, and you decided to rush and be in a sorority. You went Chi-O, that's where you became my sorority sister. And then after your freshman year, and we moved into sophomore year, which was then my junior year, we got to live in the sorority house together. And you stood out. Like, you did not fall into the worldly things that is typical, that we all think about, stereotypical sorority stuff. And just not even just college stuff, Your life was different. The way you talked, the way you treated people, the things you prioritized with your time, like what you did on the weekends was different. How hard was that for you?
It was hard. It definitely was not easy, I'll say that. And like when you say I stood out, I feel like part of like standing out in a sorority house is actually like taking a back seat to a lot of things, and maybe kind of falling in the shadows, because you're not going and doing everything that everyone else is doing. Like it would be lunch, and you don't get to sit at the table and just gossip about people or talk about the crazy whatever happened the night before. Like you missed out on that. And so you kind of take a back seat a little bit and don't, participate in a lot of conversations. And then you don't participate in the activities over the weekend, which is definitely hard to do. And it helped having good community and having other people that were like-minded, that I knew of, that I could surround myself with. Because if I had just only been surrounded by what I was, living in, and the people that I just were around because that's where I was at, then it would have been really hard, and I probably would have fallen into things that I really didn't want to do, and I knew I didn't really need to do. And I definitely was not perfect by any means. Like I could have done things better, but I do think that like standing out in a sorority, if you're trying to really obey and love God, is letting yourself not be the center of everything, and like thinking, okay, what can I do for other people today here? And not how can I like push myself into things, or be the center of attention, or just be a part of things. You feel a little bit left out, and that's okay. Like that's not a bad thing, especially when you have the right heart behind it and you want to just obey the Lord and stand out in the sense that you want people to see him and not you.
And I think what you said about it being a delight is huge, because tradition and religion tell us like a works-based thing. But it wasn't that. And we know that his grace extends to us regardless of where we fail, which we all do every single day. But it was a delight, and you're like, no, I choose because he is better. And that's what was so beautiful to watch and made you so comforting. And no one questioned whether or not you loved them because you showed that.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't participating with everything else, they knew
I hope so, yeah.
that you loved them. And that was really cool and special to see. Okay, so you also in college, you met a boy. You met your future husband.
Yeah.
So Katie Beth is engaged. She met Michael Donahue in college, and really, I think it's just crazy because you're planning to and preparing to spend the rest of your life with him. Like their wedding is coming up this summer. We're all super excited. My bridesmaid dress is in. Like we're super excited about that. It's really cute. But like, had you not been obedient and gone to South America when you did, your paths might not have crossed in the way that they did. Or even if they did, it might not have been the perfect timing like it was when y'all met. Yes. And you might have just kind of passed each other by. But your obedience, because your motivations were right, your moves were correct, which then that just like showed like the perfect timing and the Lord's timing in that. What do you think you learned through all that?
Well, I definitely say this to Michael all the time. If we had met like our freshman year, because I would have been a freshman the same time as him if I had gone to UK when I had planned. There's one, probably no chance we would have even met in the first place, but two, definitely it would have never ever been a thing at all because I was a completely different person and there's no way he would have been attracted to who I was. I'll just say it like straight up. That's true. I mean, it was so the Lord's timing. It's not even funny. So he graduated in 2017 like us, came to UK from Maryland, crazy. I was in South America, and then I come back and I get involved in CSF a little bit.
Which
he's
is
a
Christian
sophomore.
Student Fellowship. It's a Christian organization on UK's campus.
Yes, he's a sophomore. I'm a freshman. And I had decided in South America that I wanted to take a year to be single and not even consider dating anybody. And I really needed that. And it was really good for me. Well, he also, being a sophomore and he was in leadership stuff, really couldn't pursue a freshman girl. Yeah. That just wouldn't be a good look, you know, and he knew that wouldn't be smart. And so we became friends and we were really good friends. We would just hang out in groups and get to know each other, and eat good food together because we both love food, and things just started to progress. And I was trying to like not go there because I was like, I'm single and I'm going to love it, even though I was like, really hard. I don't really love it, but that's okay. But I really wanted to honor that commitment that I had made. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to bring anything up. Like, we're just friends. And then him, same kind of mindset. And then it was the new year. What year would that have even been? 2019. So it was 2019. We get back to campus and we go on a hike together. And then he asked me on a date. And it was the perfect timing because my year of no dating had just ended, literally. And now it had been enough time where I had, been in school and met friends and was more established. And he felt like he could actually pursue me. And we both didn't know that about each other. It was so crazy. We both didn't know that was like the reason behind why we hadn't already initiated something. And it was the best thing for us. Like, it was by far the best thing to be friends. And we both honored the Lord in the way that we waited to pursue one another. Yeah, and we, are engaged now and get to spend the rest of our lives together. And so, yeah, learned to like be here now. That was something that we talked about a lot when we were in South America, that our organization would really remind us of, like, be here now, be where you're at now. That's something that I struggled with when I was there. It was something I struggled with when I came back to college, and would think back, oh, what if I was in South America right now, or what if I was somewhere else, and not just like be here. And so in singleness, I really didn't want to be there, and I would think, oh, next year I could start dating somebody or whatever, which is totally not the right mindset to have. And I finally realized I need to be here now in my singleness. The Lord has me in singleness right now. It's a good thing. I'm not promised to date or marry somebody. He doesn't have to give me somebody. He really
Paul
doesn't.
says, I wish everyone would stay like
I
me
know.
and just be single and work
And
for
we
the
don't ever
Lord.
talk about that. We act like everyone's going to have a husband. And
because that's the American status quo.
Yeah, it is. And the Lord,
Ring by spring,
made
right?
marriage. He created marriage. He loves marriage. It's a good thing, but it's just like we have an expectation, and it's a privilege to be able to marry somebody. And so I finally figured out how to be here in my singleness and enjoy it and love it. And that was during the time that Mike and I were just friends. And I feel like the Lord just blessed that and made the opportunity for us to actually, take that further, because that's what he wanted for us.
Yeah.
And it's been really cool.
Because you were both, like Ben Stewart talks about all the time, like, dating is like when you are pursuing Jesus as hard as you can and as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And you just happen to look over and see someone else who is also pursuing Jesus as hard and as fast as they can.
Right.
And then you're like, oh,
hey, what's up over there?
Let's run together.
Yeah, I know.
Right? And that's totally what y'all did. And I love the part about wanting to just like be where you are. Christy Wright says, be where your feet are, and that is something that you have definitely focused on and have inspired other people to, like, I've started really focusing on that and just like be where I am, be present, put the phone down and be intentional with people and the relationship you have. Like, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So just be where we are, be where our feet are.
It's the hardest thing to do. It is one of the hardest thing to do. We are trained to think ahead or to think the grass is greener or not focus on what is going on, more, whatever it be. Like, what's next? What are we going to do in 5 years, 10 years, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It is the hardest thing ever. And if I could go back and do my link year again, that is what I would do. I would try to be there and be more present where I was at there. And I think I didn't do a bad job of doing that, but it would be hard to not think, like, what's everyone doing in college? What's going on at home? Wishing I could have Chick-fil-A. Like, you miss the little things like that.
Chicken minis.
I didn't realize either, like, all the opportunity that I had right there. And there was more opportunity than I took. I could have done more. And, I loved all of it. And I wish I could do it again so I could do more. But that is one really good little nugget that they gave us on that trip that I take with me, and I really try. It's like a daily thing. Like, okay, how do I be here now today?
Right. So I am going to ask a question, like, what is next? Because when you and Michael got engaged and you talked about, like, your future, like, where are we going to live? What are we going to do? Like, are you going to actually graduate? Or you had a little bit of a pull to, like, do I go back to South America? Like, do we go, like, do we move back to Maryland with his family? Do we stay in Kentucky? Yeah. What do we do? So what's next?
Well, we would love to know, and we don't, to be truthful. We'll still be here for a while. I'm finishing out school. I have one more year. Yay. Could have been done. No, I'm just kidding. One more year of nursing school. So we'll be here. And I felt the Lord kind of push us a little bit towards living in Shawneetown. I don't know if you are familiar with Shawneetown. It's UK graduate housing, but they really give priority to international families and students. And I have a language partner who's not even really my language partner. She's just like such a good friend now, Pravati, and her husband live over there. And they've been so kind and invited me over to their home. And I've just been able to see, like, it's like a little world. It's a whole different, like, bubble from campus. It's like a whole world. You look around and there's people literally from all over the place. And I was like, yes, this is my jam. I love this. And I kind of felt like the Lord was, shoving us a little bit in that direction. Like, we could live there. We're going to be a non-traditional family by UK's terms. And if they accept us, which we don't know if, they have or not yet, we could live there for a year and get to do community in that community and tell people that are from places that have never, ever heard of Jesus before. And that is like such a crazy opportunity. So we're praying and really hoping that that works out. And if not, the Lord will show us another place to live. Maybe my parents' basement. It's free.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be mad, but that's our next step, I guess, is doing that. Michael will probably do something in ministry. That's what he is hoping to do and is passionate about. So we'll see what doors the Lord opens there. And we have talked. We could end up in a different country. We could end up in Maryland. We could end up in both. We could end up literally anywhere. And he's the same way as me, which is one of the main reasons why I would marry him, is he's just going to go where the Lord wants him to go.
I love that.
And we're just getting to do it together now instead of going alone, which is the best part. So
yeah, y'all are. You both have this obedience in you that you really are willing to do whatever, wherever, which is awesome and not common, which is why they are Playmakers. Okay, Katie Beth, so as we wrap up, I want to ask you our signature question that we always ask.
Yeah.
Okay, always. You're one of my first interviews, but still, I'm starting this trend.
Yes.
How are you being a Playmaker in your season of life right now?
I would say spending time with the Lord, spending time in His Word. That's also one of the main ways that you know what He's calling you to do, is you know His Word. His Word is His voice. It's literally the voice of God.
That's good.
Tangible for us. And we're so dumb. We're like, oh, I need to hear something. And yes, the Lord speaks to people in awesome, cool ways. But the main predominant way is the Bible. Like, He gives it to us. And we're so blessed to have them here and to read them whenever we want. Like, we don't have to even worry about it. Like, it's available on your phone or on your lap, wherever, anytime. And so that is like such a huge way to be a playmaker. And like you say, God is the greatest playmaker. And so if you want to be a good playmaker, know what He's doing. Like, know His plays and get in on that. Like, that's what I try to do. And the best way to do that is being in the Word and being renewed by the Word. So that's what I would say.
Oh, that is so good. And it's so clear, like in Katie Beth's story, like, she wasn't sure and she was in the fog, like, what do I do? But as we can look back now, like, God was in the middle of everything and orchestrating everything for His perfect timing, because she was willing to say yes. You know, every yes is a no to something else. She said no to the status quo and said yes to what His plans were. And she was able to know that that was His voice because she had that relationship with Him, was in the Word, and was able to discern the difference in the Holy Spirit's calling and what the world tells us to do.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. You are amazing. You are such a playmaker.
I love you, cousin.
I love you, cousin. Thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Well, you know, the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be better. So go out and do something today to make yourself 1% better. We'll see you on next time.
You're gonna have good posture.
I know, right? It's like,
I sit like this. You won't even see my head in this.
So, you also, while being in college, you met a boy.
Met a boy. I didn't meet a boy. Yep. That's what happened.
So, you met Michael Donahue, who is now your fiance.
Yes, I did.
What does that speak about the Lord and like how His timing?
I hope you include some of this in the video.
We need like a bloopers. We're just gonna show. Okay.
I meet him.
I meet
him in college.
Yay, college.
And I like him, so I marry him. I'm gonna start crying. Oh man. Okay.